Nike just did something so outrageous, so unthinkable, it's almost unbelievable. One day, Caitlin Clark was their shining star, and the next, gone, erased. It's like she never even existed. No explanation, no warning. And the worst part, Nike thought they could get away with it. But oh, did the internet notice. The backlash? Massive. The outrage? Unstoppable. And Nike's response? So embarrassing, so desperate, you won't believe they actually did this. Alright, let's rewind. Super Bowl Sunday, the biggest stage in sports. Millions watching, and then, boom, Nike drops their new commercial, and who's front and center? Caitlin freaking Clark. She's shining, she's confident, she looks like the future of Nike. The internet goes crazy, fans are hyped, and athletes are celebrating. Even Travis Kelce, yes, that Travis Kelce, gives her a shout out. Her jersey sales through the roof. Her impact beyond basketball. Her marketability off the charts. Nike had the golden opportunity to make history, to cement Caitlin Clark as the next face of the brand. And for a second, it looked like they got it right, but Nike wasn't done. And what happened next? Absolute madness. The very next day, Nike dropped another ad, and guess who was missing? Yep, Caitlin Clark. Not a mention, not a shout out, not even a split second of screen time, like she never existed. Erased just like that. No highlights, no name, no recognition, and for what? This wasn't some random oversight, this felt intentional. And if that wasn't bad enough, Nike made it worse. Every single other athlete from that first commercial, they all got their moment. Juju Watkins, name dropped. Sabrina Ionescu, featured. Paige Beckers, included. But Caitlin, nowhere to be found. The one name that everyone expected to hear, the player fueling all the hype in women's basketball, completely ignored. And fans? Oh, they noticed immediately. The internet exploded. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you couldn't scroll for 2 seconds without seeing someone calling Nike out. This wasn't just disappointment, it was outrage. Nike, are you serious right now? You erased the biggest name in women's basketball. This is unreal. You make an ad, mention everyone except Caitlin Clark? She's the reason for all the hype. Show some respect. Nike really tried to pretend Caitlin Clark doesn't exist and thought no one would notice? What a joke. Nike wasn't just dealing with backlash, they were drowning in a full-blown PR disaster. Fans were livid, analysts were baffled, even sports media picked up on the controversy. Caitlin Clark was trending for all the wrong reasons. But here's the thing, it wasn't just fans who were heated, the backlash was everywhere. This wasn't some internet tantrum that would fade in a few hours, it was a wildfire. Analysts, former players, branding experts, everyone was talking about it, and for good reason. Nike didn't just forget Caitlin Clark, they flat out erased her. They had the biggest name in women's sports front and center in their Super Bowl ad, only to turn around and act like she didn't exist. And when people caught on, the outrage was instant. Caitlin Clark is the most recognizable name in women's basketball right now. Everyone knows it, even Nike knows it, and yet they still left her out. That's what made this mess even worse. If Nike was trying to send a message, they did, but it wasn't the one they wanted. Instead of pushing women's sports forward or celebrating their biggest rising star, they made it clear that Caitlin Clark wasn't worth mentioning, and fans were not about to let that happen. The internet erupted. This wasn't just casual viewers weighing in. Former athletes, sports media personalities, and marketing pros were all calling Nike out. Some of the biggest analysts pointed how rare it is for a company like Nike, one that has dominated sports marketing for decades, to fumble this badly. This wasn't just a bad look for them, it was an avoidable disaster. Nike just can't get out of their own way. They had a generational star in their hands, and they just fumbled the bag. This is the biggest marketing mistake we've seen in a long time. How do you drop the ball this badly? This wasn't just about one commercial, this was about Nike, a brand built on, quote, in touch with the culture, looking completely out of touch. And in a world where perception is everything, Nike just handed their competition an easy win. They had one job: capitalize on Caitlin Clark's rising stardom. Instead, they turned what should have been a career-defining moment into a PR nightmare. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse, Nike found a way. Their so-called fix somehow made everything even more embarrassing. Now, Nike was panicking. The internet was on fire, fans were outraged, and analysts were roasting them from every angle. This wasn't just backlash, it was a full-scale disaster, and Nike needed to fix it. But instead of owning up to their mistake, issuing an apology, or even refilming the ad, they went for the laziest cover-up in marketing history. And what did they do? You're not going to believe this one. They slapped a voiceover into the ad. Yes, a voiceover. That was their big fix. No reshoots, no edits, no acknowledgement of the mistake. Just a last-minute voice clip awkwardly dropping Caitlin Clark's name like that would magically make everything okay. And the worst part, it didn't even match the footage. It was completely out of sync, like one of those old kung fu movies where the lips keep moving long after the dialogue stops. It was so bad, you could almost hear the desperation behind it. Nike had the resources to fix this the right way to actually show they valued Caitlin Clark, but instead, they took the easy way out and fans weren't buying it. Did they really think this was going to work? Because let me tell you, people caught it immediately. The internet was flooded with comments, memes, and reactions dragging Nike for this pathetic attempt at damage control. At this point, people weren't just mad anymore, they were laughing. Nike, the company that made some of the most legendary sports commercials of all time, had just reduced itself to a cheap last-minute voiceover edit. They threw a voice memo over this and called it a day? This is embarrassing. Nike, what are you doing? This is next level lazy. Marketing analysts weren't holding back either. Some called it one of the worst PR moves in recent history. And honestly, they were right. Instead of taking responsibility, Nike tried to sweep it under the rug, and that's what made everything worse. Now, the damage wasn't just done, it was multiplied. People weren't just mad about Caitlin Clark being erased, they were furious at how Nike handled the fallout. How could a company of Nike's stature treat one of the biggest stars in women's basketball with this little care? What should have been a simple fix had now turned into something bigger. And just when it seemed like Nike couldn't sink any lower, just wait, because things were about to take an even wilder turn. Now here's the real question after all of this. Does Caitlin Clark even stay with Nike? I mean, at this point, why would she? Nike just showed the world that they don't truly value her. They had the perfect chance to solidify her as the face of their brand, and instead, they erased her, ignored the backlash, and then made things even worse with that lazy voiceover stunt. So what's stopping her from walking away? Because let's be honest, Nike just gave her every reason to do so. And trust me, other brands are watching. Adidas, Puma, Under Armour, they'd love to scoop her up. Caitlin Clark is the most marketable athlete in women's basketball right now, and brands know that well. They see the controversy, they see the outrage, and you can bet they're thinking, if Nike doesn't want to treat her like a superstar, we will. And honestly, maybe she should go. Maybe it's time for Caitlin Clark to sign with a company that actually respects her. Because let's be real for a sec, Nike just fumbled one of the biggest marketing opportunities in women's sports history. They had the golden ticket, the player that could elevate their brand, bring in massive sales, and be a generational icon for them, and they threw it away like it was nothing. Meanwhile, other brands are already making moves behind the scenes, waiting for the perfect moment to make their offer. So what do you guys think? Should Caitlin Clark ditch Nike and sign with a brand that actually gets it? Or is there still a way for Nike to fix this mess? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I want to hear every take. And that brings us to something even bigger, Nike's next move. Because after all this backlash, after all this public humiliation, Nike is trying to clean up the mess. And rumor has it, they're about to refilm Caitlin Clark's commercial. But will that be enough to fix the damage that's already been done? Or is it just another desperate attempt to save face? Click here to watch and see for yourself.